Hello and welcome to the Mad Knitting video podcast. This is episode 5 and it's December the 2nd, 2021. My name is Susan and my pronouns are she, her, hers. You can find me on Instagram as MADTOWN_MAMA and on Ravelry, if that's a site that you can use, as MADTOWNMAMA without the underscore. I'm coming to you from the ancestral lands of the Ho-Chunk people, also known as Madison, Wisconsin. Before I dive into my own stuff today, I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the situation that has been unfolding over the last week or so on social media, particularly Instagram. That's where I spend my social media time. I'll try to make this brief because I'm not directly involved and I don't know anybody who's been directly involved with what's been happening. But I do just want to talk about it a little bit because I think it's important to make it clear where I land on everything. So basically what happened is last week, a very well-known influencer in the knitting world named Christy Glass made some very offensive comments about the cover of Vogue Knitting magazine, which features Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama is, of course, former First Lady of the United States, one of the most powerful women in the world, and also one of the most scrutinized and criticized, frankly, because of her race, because she's a Black woman. So for a very prominent white influencer to make comments, petty comments, about that magazine cover just was offensive and wrong, and it opened up a whole floodgate of stories about this particular influencer, Christy Glass, and the way she has been exploiting and mistreating people over the last several years to gain status and elevate herself and her platform. So it is just abhorrent. Before I sat down to make this video, I saw that apparently some gossip sites have picked up this story, gossip sites that really don't ordinarily have anything to do with knitting and crafting. So for me, I think that was what made me think, okay, I need to say something about this, because over the last several years, there has been a lot of public conversation about racism in the crafting and knitting industries and how that plays out and how that affects people. And there's a pattern of white women misstepping, saying something wrong, doing something offensive, and then issuing a fake apology, maybe disappearing for a few days before coming back. And I mean, it seems to happen a lot. So this is what happened with Christy Glass. And I think what made this situation even worse was that she had featured so many women of color and Black women in particular on her channels and on her platform. And it turns out she wasn't really doing it to elevate them. She was doing it to gain for herself. And somehow she's got enough clout in the media industry somehow that her story is being picked up by these sites in a way that's very sympathetic to her, and it's just really pretty bone-chilling. So I will link some accounts below that go into more detail if you're interested, if you don't already follow this situation and you're interested to learn more, then you can check out these folks on Instagram. And if not, then what I have to say before I close this out and go on to my regular topics is that if someone, particularly somebody marginalized, has been harmed, you need to believe them. You need to believe them, and you don't downplay the hurt that they are feeling. Don't assume that it's not a big deal. It's probably a bigger deal than is being let on. And I am just thoroughly disgusted by her behavior. And ugh. Moving on from that whole shit show, I thought, I don't have like a ton of knitting content because I've been pretty focused on a couple of projects, but I thought that I would wear a throwback garment and talk a little bit about how I learned how to knit. So when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I enrolled, or maybe my mom just signed me up, I don't remember, but I was in the 4-H knitting program. It was like a free class that met once a week after school at their extension office. And my mom was actually the teacher. So my mom taught me how to knit, but it was through this 4-H program. And at that time, everything was like very prescribed. So the first year we had to knit these garter stitch slippers out of Red Heart acrylic yarn, and they were awful and squeaky, and I never wore mine, but I did finish them. And the second year we had to knit like a beret and some mittens, and I think they had stripes. So that was like the new skill, was that we were learning stripes. But this is before most of us were knitting in the round. So I think we like made the mittens flat and then sewed them up. I don't remember exactly, but I do know that it was Red Heart acrylic yarn, and I never wore those either. And then the third year, finally, we were able to pick our own pattern. And it had to be a vest. So this was something that had like pieces. It had to be a garment you could wear, but there weren't sleeves. And this is the vest I made. And I think I was like maybe 12 years old when I made it. So obviously this thing fits me a whole lot differently now than it did then, but I can still, stuff myself into it. So, I mean, you can tell like on a 12-year-old, it would not come up this far, and probably the armholes wouldn't be so tight, the pattern was from some magazine, I think. But there's a slip stitch pattern. You can tell that like I had a few things to learn about picking up stitches for the neckline. The seaming, if we look real close at the seaming, it's like not fantastic, but it hasn't come apart. I don't remember what yarn I used. I don't remember any of that. I'm pretty sure it's wool though, because this is pretty warm. Like even wearing this, cropped sleeveless thing over my t-shirt, it's keeping me pretty warm today. So anyway, this is my throwback. This is from at least 30 years ago. When I was a very young knitter, before there was even an internet. So that's that. Now let's get to my most recent finished object. And this is probably the last time you're going to see it on the podcast. Whew, you might be saying. I finished the Unbearable hoodie for my brother. I think I finished it on Thanksgiving Day or maybe the day after. When I showed it to you last time, I was partway through the hood. So I finished the hood, and you pick up, it's such a neat design. Let me just show you some details. So for the hood, you pick up, like once you get the hood knit, you graft the top. You can see that the shaping is done very nicely. There's a series of increases and decreases, so it's got like a nice head shape. It's not going to be all pointy. And you graft the top. And then after you do that, you pick up stitches and like hem it under. So I guess this could be a casing for a drawstring, but I stitched it shut because I don't think he would need a drawstring for it. So it's a very nice detail. Yeah. Again, this is the Unbearable hoodie. The design is by Les Garcons. I'll have links to everything below. I used Valley Yarns Northampton for the charcoal color and for this orange color, which I think is called Autumn Heather. And for the gray background, I had some yarn from my stash. So it was probably Cascade 220. I'm not even sure. And it is huge and it's very warm. So I am keeping my fingers crossed that it will fit. It's for my brother. He is 6'3". So I had my sister-in-law take some measurements of a sweatshirt of his, and I knit this sweater to those measurements, and it matches what she sent me, but it still just feels really big. So we'll see. What else do I say about this? We went on a hike last weekend, and I brought this along just so I could get some pictures, and I had my daughter just take a few snapshots of me wearing the sweater, just so there'd be like a nice-ish background. So I'll put those in here so you can see. So yeah, I really like this pattern. I recommend it, but not for a beginner, because again, it's a lot of knitting, and this color work is no joke. Like, you've got long floats. There are several rounds with 3 colors to a round, which is a huge pain in the ass to do. I mean, especially with like 3 colors and long floats, it's just kind of a lot to manage. So would I do it again? Maybe. I might do one for me. We'll see. But for now, I've got other things going. So this is the last you're going to see of the Unbearable hoodie, I think. Unless I can get my brother to send me pictures, but he probably won't. All right, so I got that done, and I immediately started the sweater for my daughter. I shared about it last time that she, out of the blue, said that she wanted a holiday sweater, and her birthday is coming up in less than 2 weeks. It's in the middle of December. So I really want to get this done in time for her birthday. And then I have all these other Christmas knitting projects that I have planned. We'll see how far I get with those, because honestly, I just haven't worked on anything else except her sweater. But I've made loads of progress because I had a couple of days off for the Thanksgiving holiday last week, and I also get insomnia sometimes. So when I wake up super early in the morning and I can't sleep, I knit. I sit there and I knit and I drink coffee until I've woken up, and I get a lot done that way. So here we go. This is how much I've gotten done since last Friday. Which I know seems like a lot, but I told a friend the other day, like, knitting is basically all I do if I'm not like working or cooking or whatever. So what are some details? What can I tell you about this? This is the Winter Soul sweater. The pattern is by Jennifer Steingass of Knit Love Wool. You can see why my daughter wanted to pick this out as a holiday design, because it's got this tree motif on the yoke. And when you do it in these colors, it really is very Christmassy. There's a detail at the top where, let me make sure it's focused. Yeah. You do an I cord at the top. Oh, I know what I should say about this. Sorry, I'm like all over the place today. This sweater uses a construction technique that I had not done before, which was fun. So she has you do a provisional cast on like here, and then you knit the yoke up. So this I cord part around the neck is the bind off. When you're done with that, then you pick up the stitches from the provisional cast on and do like one round, and then you put the sleeve stitches on a holder, and then you knit down to the end of the body. So I thought that was pretty cool. Sometimes if you do like a bottom up yoke sweater, like it gets really unwieldy once you get to the sleeve join. So it was kind of nice to do it this way. There is a color work pattern at the bottom too, which my daughter wanted. So I got through that last night. This one also has some rounds in the yoke with 3 colors, but not very many. It's only like 2, I think, for this main pattern, and there was like 1 round here with 3 colors. So that wasn't bad at all. Nothing like the Unbearable hoodie. So this, I don't know that I would say this is great for a beginner pattern because there's kind of a lot going on, but the color work was much faster for me. It also felt a lot faster because I am making it for a teenage girl and not a grown man who is way over 6 feet tall. And this one doesn't have a hood. So I will be finishing the bottom ribbing very soon, and I just have to add the sleeves and do the blocking. So I don't think I'll have any trouble finishing this in time for her birthday. Oh, I'll show you the yarn I'm using. I think I'm gonna have too much because, I mean, I bought the yardage that it called for, and I'll probably have quite a bit left. But anyway, I'm using Barocco Lannis, which is a worsted weight wool. It is not superwash, so it's great for color work, great for sweaters. It feels, I mean, it's equivalent, I think, to Cascade 220 or Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, but it feels really nice. Hopefully it won't pill too badly. So the main color, I'm using the color Berries for the main color, Evergreen for the tree motif, and then that second background color is called Fog. And I don't mind having some left over because I think these will be really good to just have around for mittens or hats or other, you know, incorporating into other colorwork sweaters. I like having a nice selection of colors around in that kind of wool. So those are actually the only ongoing projects I have to show you. Hopefully I will get that done soon, and the next time I do an episode, I'll have gotten going on some of those other projects that I've talked about and am still committed to doing, and that I have the yarn for. So, on to other topics. So one of the ways in which the personal and the political come together in our lives is where we spend our money. And I want to be really careful here because very clearly some people have way more choice about that than others because of their income or even their geography, where you live, what you actually have access to. So I'm not here to tell you where to shop or where not to shop. That is just a place where I'm not going to go. But I would like to share that one area where I did feel it was important to invest in the well-being of creators, certain creators, was that I supported the Kickstarter for Radical Threads, which is this magazine. This is the inaugural issue. I'll show you the back cover too. The Kickstarter was, man, it was several months ago because they had to raise enough money to like put the thing together and send it out. But I'll just read to you sort of the basic mission. Radical Threads is a BBIMP grassroots company that aims to create a sustainable, ethical, and equitable online and print publication with a focus on crafting. Our mission is to uplift, amplify, and empower BBIMP voices and to share our knowledge, skills, and experiences with the goal of increasing accessibility for all, which I think sums it up beautifully, and it's a really beautiful statement. So this is the page that I read that from. And the name of this issue is Roots: Exploring Ancestry Through Arts. I will not go through it page by page here because I don't want to, I don't want to give away what they worked so hard and are paid to create. But it's full of stories. It is full of history. There are recipes in here. There's a tamales recipe that I am dying to try. The chicken and black bean tamales. Let me see if I can show just the food page. Yeah. There are patterns, knitting and crochet. There are other crafts featured. It is just chock full of really wonderful things. Here is the contributors page. So you can see that a lot of people took part in creating this magazine, and I'm really glad I have it. I am excited to make some stuff out of it, and glad to have this in my library of references and materials and things. As far as what else I'm reading, I mentioned last time that I was reading Mexican Gothic. It's way overdue at the library, but I can show you now. It's really good. I recommend this book. It was really good for me to read in part because it was kind of escapist. I mean, it's like this, I think I said last time, it's like the story mostly takes place in this mansion in the mountains near a silver mine in Mexico, and it's super creepy. It's kind of like haunted and you're not exactly sure what's going on. But at the same time, it touches on some issues that are really relevant today. There's this, some of the characters are really into eugenics, which is just super creepy. And there's some stuff about gender as well. So it touches on some things that are relevant, even though there's, elements of the story that are just, not what would happen, like supernatural stuff and everything. But I recommend Mexican Gothic, and it's by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So when I was done with that, I decided to start on another book. This is called My Family and Other Animals. It's by Gerald Durrell. This one, it's like, it is total fluff, but it's very well written and it's very funny. So it's by this British guy. I think maybe he became a vet. I'm not sure. And I know this has been turned into a PBS series. But it's this guy who is the youngest of 5 kids and a single mother, because I think his father had died. They decided to move to a Greek island to get away from the gloomy English summers. And I'm only a couple of chapters into it, but he was the youngest, so he's this little kid. He's got all these older siblings, and it's basically his stories of bringing all these animals home and just his, goofy, quirky family. And it's very enjoyable. It is also, it was written in the copyright here is 1956, and it was written by a British man about his childhood, which I'm not sure what year he was born, but knowing the role that Britain had worldwide in the early 20th century, I have to admit, I've been kind of bracing myself, like waiting for him to say something really racially offensive or colonialist. But aside from the fact that they could just like pack up and move to a Greek island because they were tired of the rain, aside from that, I haven't run into anything yet. Because it's mostly about like him and his dog and the turtle he brought home and a pigeon he adopted. And at some point there's like a little family of beetles that he was raising in an old log. And so, yeah, so I'll get back to more serious things, I think, after I'm done reading this, but I kind of needed a change of pace. So that is it for today. I will hopefully have more projects to show you next time. I won't promise to keep the topics light because who knows what will happen between now and then and what I'll feel like talking about. But if you made it this far, thank you. And I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.